one in 8 men, that is increased from 1 in 32 men in the last 5 years. So in 5 years, men's mental health has recorded a lot more problems in the current state, in the current era that we live in, the time and the age.
And as a man, the moment you go through all that, then that means the family is going to be hungry. So you get where a man is coming from before they can think of depression.
Want to get men in particular to overdiagnose themselves because depression is a very real thing. But
welcome to the M.A.N podcast, where your mind truly matters. We're your hosts, Tatenda and Rudi. Here, we tackle life's challenges, foster resilience, and promote wellness. Each episode promises to make a difference, one viewer at a time. Buckle up for a journey of enlightenment, because in the world of M.A.N, it's not about the destination, it's about the journey. Stay tuned.
Hello there and welcome to the M.A.N podcast. We come to you every Friday to ensure that you're the best possible version of yourself. It's Men's Mental Health Month, and what can we do than bringing more gents onto the show and to speak about stuff that gents go through. And if something like this interests you, please consider liking, sharing and subscribing. My name is Tatenda and I come to you every single Friday with my mate Rudi. And Rudi Perry is not going to be in studio. He's not here physically, but he is here on a call, and you're going to hear his voice. I know it's boring to watch, so I think it's going to be better if you just listen to him. Anyway, the man has got so much wisdom, and through his wisdom, it's what he says that makes sense. So it doesn't need to be seen. You understand? You get what I'm saying? Some of us, when you look at me, you're like, yeah, Tats, you're a bit of both. You got the face and you've got the voice, and it works well. Anyway, I'm joking. Rudy's going to be offended. I know. Anyway, we said if you are new to the channel, please consider liking, sharing, and subscribing. There are so many gents that are out there that are going through something. They're going through depression. They're going through stuff. And gents end up, because we're a society where gents don't know how to cry or gents don't know how to speak up about their feelings, we end up going to the bottle. We end up going into GBV and violence and behavior and abusing substance abuse. So we don't want that. And last week we spoke about the rate at which men are committing suicide, and it's all testament to the fact that we don't speak about these things. And since it's men's mental health, I said last week that it's so amazing that yes, it's men's mental health, but there is not enough emphasis on social media. And I spoke to a few gents on the call last week, and you could hear that most of them will be like, I did not know about this mental health month until I popped onto Instagram or I went onto Facebook or social media platforms. That's when I realized that it is men's mental health. Because every gent is so focused on the Cricket World Cup, so focused on the F1 racing, so focused on the sports that's happening, so much so that we then forget that our mental health is so important. And the fact that 5% more women, we are 5% more gents than women are committing suicide. That means that there is something that the ladies are doing that we can improve on or that we can adapt to. So if it means speaking about our feelings, let's do that. Someone posted on one of these community Facebook groups, and he said, is there any Facebook group or WhatsApp group where men come together and just share the burden? Because from what he was saying, you could see that he was going through something. So I then responded and I said, I don't have any. Yes, we've got the Men podcast group, but then in as far as men coming together and just having a chat or having a drink, whatever, we don't have that. It's something that Rudi and I are hoping to get in the near future. But then I then said my DMs are open, and I know Rudi's DMs are also open to make sure that we can be one future, we can be that strong future. So my DMs are open, Rudi's DMs are always open. You know our numbers. Come through and just reach out. Let's talk. And just because we are saying come let's talk, it doesn't necessarily mean that we're going to give you solutions. Sometimes we also don't have solutions. We're also going through something. And as we are going through all that, understand that we are not saying that we've had it all. We are not saying that we've got all the answers. We're just saying we're creating a platform where men can come together and speak about their problems without feeling like they're going to be judged, without feeling like I'm going to look at them and look at them as they are weak, or we're going to look at them as they are not men enough. We're just saying, because mental health is really, really rampant and men are committing suicide and men are dying, the men species is dying. and it's between you and me to ensure that not on our watch can we get another person that succumbs to this illness, or not another man can succumb to this mental health, the depression, the substance abuse, the alcoholism, and everything. So Rudi, and we've got a guest rather, and he is going to introduce himself shortly. But firstly, let's hear from the man that you don't want to see but you want to hear from. Rudi Perry, mate, how are you? And say hello to the people.
Hello, everybody. Glad to be here. Glad to be back. Tats, I can't say it. I'm glad to be talking to you again. But,
I know you love me, but
I'm happy for it. Let's just choose. It's my time. Mute yourself if you have to. It's my time to shine, and the people have missed me, and I have missed them, and I'm here for them. And I'm not alone. I'm not alone this week. As the white man on the show, I have accompanied by another. He'll introduce himself now. His name's Tristan, and he's such a good friend. He's just so much nicer than Tats is. He makes me feel loved. He makes me feel cared for. He provides all the things I need. That people want from the M.A.N podcast. So thank you, Tristan. Thanks for joining us today, brother. And introduce yourself, bro.
Hello, listeners all over the world, hopefully, and South Africa. I know that I'm normally one of them, so maybe I'll be listening to myself and cringing. You know how it goes, you listen to your own voice. But yes, I'm Tristan. I am the second white man here. So Senda, you're getting outnumbered, brother. You need to watch out. Really,
I'm so worried right now. I'm so worried right now. You've got no idea. You could look at my face right now and thinking I've got two white men. One was too much on his own. Now there's two. Like, yeah, yes. How's it, brother?
Yeah. And you know what? I'm good. Thank you for having me. As I said, I'm a fan of the podcast. I'm listening all the time.
Awesome.
But yeah, no, really, you've talked me up quite a bit. So I hope the people at home feel what you tend to feel, but I don't think you can say that much about me with regards to Senda. I think Tats is just as good as a friend. But yeah, again, thanks for having me, guys.
Awesome. My first question to you would be, what makes someone like you? Because as far as I'm concerned, you're so wise. You've got so much wisdom, and then you make a mistake of being friends with Rudi. How does that work, mate?
Thanks for saying that I'm wise. I think we're all wise in our own ways, but I suppose making friends with Rudi is a very wise thing to do because you've done the exact same thing. And for me, it started when I was at university. I went into Rudi's school to do practicals, and he was actually my mentor teacher, and actually I work there too now. But yeah, so there we actually got along quite well, and then one day he decided to invite me to play some action cricket with him and his friends, and since then just about we've been mates. So I don't know if it was, just fate or whatever, but yeah, I'm glad I made that mistake, if you can call it that much.
That's a very good mistake if you say. I can say the same. I understand that Rudi and I have got so much banter and all that. I'm wiser than him, and but to say the least, yeah, he's not a bad guy,
No, I think he's a good guy. We made him quiet now. Rudi, it's okay. You're allowed to speak.
Don't cry, Rudi.
Are the two of you done brushing up each other's egos, breaking me down to build me up? Because this is an attack. This is an attack.
I only saw good things.
Oh my lord. Tats, please can we get to the topic of discussion?
Are you bruised, my brother?
I bruise easily, so be gentle.
Oh,
shame. My wife walks into the
podcast.
My wife walks into the studio and says, "Wow, I don't want to be Rudi right now." Sorry, bro.
At least Kumza loves me.
No, we love you too, bro.
Anyway, gents, thank you so much for taking your time. And it's Men's Mental Health Month, and I did a video last week where I was asking gents, do you know about men's mental health and what does it mean to us individually? So my first question would be coming to Tristan, our guest, and it will be so great to have you in studio as well. And I understand that circumstances and all that, but what does Men's Mental Health Month mean to you? But before you answer that, were you aware of such an initiative or such an awareness month, Tristan?
So I was aware of Men's Mental Health Month. Well, I'm aware of the concept, if we can put it that way. I'm not right now too aware that it was actually this month, so very interesting. But men's mental health is something that the world is beginning to look at a bit more, and something that people are realizing is something that matters. Because, I actually had a quote, and it was said by one of the guys we worked with the other day, and he said that the only people or the only things in life that get unconditional love are women, children, and dogs. And something like that I heard is something that points to, again, men's mental health. People don't think about how we feel. They think about what we can do, what do we provide, how do we make people's lives better. And, men's mental health is very important to have someone to talk to as a man, because it's very often seen as soft or weak when we speak.
Yeah.
And, it's not. It's something that's necessary. We need to be able to let things out. We need to be able to talk, find someone that feels like we do or has felt like we do. And so for me, it's very important that as men, we understand it's okay. Like, you're not always going to be 100% happy. You're not going to be always feeling like you're the best, Yeah. So for me, it's a very good thing that has been put out there, and it's good for us to share. And so for me, it's just that.
Yeah. It's so amazing that you speak about, with the only people that get unconditional love is women and children. It's a sad reality, and I just want Rudi to come in on this as well, because at the same time we are here to grill you, Tristan. So me and Rudi are on one side. For once, it's not two white men against the black man. It's one black, one white against another white. You get it? It's balancing, right?
Yeah, I get you.
So Rudi, come in, bro. What's your take on this, bro?
Yeah, look, I mean, at the end of the day, besides the grilling of whoever we're talking to, and the sad reality of any month that you have, it is actually, for me, it's actually sad that a month is dedicated to men's mental health, when you have you have Gay Pride Month, you have men's mental health month, you have a day which is Father's Day, you have a day which is Mother's Day, and all these things, for me, is actually a sad reality, because you're only taking one opportunity to recognize the problems that are happening. I mean, a stat shows, and a recent stat shows, that 1 in 8 men reports experiencing some sort of mental health problems throughout their lives. And the stat that makes it even worse is that out of 1 in 8 men, that is increased from 1 in 32 men in the last 5 years. So in 5 years, men's mental health has recorded a lot more problems in the current state, in the current era that we live in, the time and the age, that, the ratio and how prominent it is in our society is that it's now 1 in 8, and 35% of men think that they've had some diagnosable mental health condition at some point in their life. And only 20% of those 32% seek professional help and find help, whether it be professional or non-professional. So it's a scary stat to look at, and where we are and where the world is on men's mental health, and what you go through as a man, and you go through as a father, you go through as a brother, as a mentor, as a role model. Because sometimes it's really not that easy. We carry the weight of the world, we carry the weight of our family, as our friends, on our shoulders, and you brush aside the emotions, the stresses, the problems that we go through, because we think that you're less of a man if you burden them off. We've got to be strong, we've got to be big men to carry it. So it's a scary thought. And one of the things I'd actually like to ask Tristan is, do you have any sort of people in your life, or maybe it's yourself, that know that you don't have to mention names, that have gone through something like this? Do you have some experience of someone that's sort of gone through a disorder, a condition, a time of need, and what was your impact, and what did you do?
So I can say that, like myself, I think it's difficult. I had a friend when I was in high school, who actually passed away when we were in first year. He, I don't know, he committed suicide. Okay, so he struggled with mental health, and you would never have thought of it, knowing him, spending time with him, and I knew him since I was 12-ish, around 12. And yeah, so I do know like quite a few people, and like I think myself as well, we've all dealt with mental health issues in a way. I'm not saying diagnosable or anything like that, but we all have dealt with it. And I think it came really into focus for me in that year. I mean, I was like 18 at the time. How important it is to check up on friends, how important it is to, you know, if someone is, and you know, we all joke around as guys, but if someone is serious and they're telling you something, to actually listen and be there. And you know, it's difficult because within yourself, you feel vulnerable when someone's being vulnerable with you. And as a man, it's important that we allow ourselves to be vulnerable with our fellow man. So, yeah, I mean, it's tough, and it's crazy when you think about it, because there's so many men that are there, and even ones that I know that probably do go through these things, but don't say anything.
Yeah, but
yeah,
then
I know, Tats, we actually had that video. Sorry, Tats, can I just jump in there? So if you remember, I'm sure Tats just actually watched the video. A couple of episodes ago, we played a video, and you spoke about a person, one of your mates, that when you were in first year, that went through. Obviously, he was going through hard times and hardships and whatnot, and you wouldn't have guessed it. And in the video we actually played, it was two guys watching football together, and one looked quite depressed and whatnot, and they kept on going to the football game, and at the end of the video basically ends where the guy that was actually happy had committed suicide. He ended his own life, and it was a shock, because it was the person you didn't think. It was the person you had no idea was you know, in a time of need or in trouble. You know, I think we actually said it in the one podcast. You know, behind the biggest smiles are normally the person with the biggest tears or the biggest hardships.
True.
So yeah, I mean, Tats, if you want to add on to that.
Yeah, that's the sad reality, though, because at the same time, I want to come back to Tristan, what Tristan said when he said the only people that get unconditional love are women and children, or pets, rather. But then at the same time, you know how it is, you are a man. I think a man is born to provide, is born to protect. A man is born to be the head. So based on that fact alone, when you are going through something, it's not easy to just open up to your wife and say, you know what, babes, I don't feel like waking up and going to work. We end up just doing the stuff that we do because it has to be done. Work needs to be done, and you still have to wake up and show up, even though you don't feel like it. You get it? So I get where men are coming from as well, that in as much as, yes, I can say I can spare an hour to speak to Rudi, to speak to Tristan, because I know that once I speak about it, then that burden is half shared, or it's already dealt with halfway, that kind of vibe. But then, because every man is sort of, we are thinking of building a legacy for our families, building a legacy for our children and stuff, that so much so that thinking of depression or thinking of sadness, you don't have time for it. So I get it as well, where men are coming from, because you are there for a very short space of time, and in that short space of time, you need to make an impact. How do I make an impact when I can't get out of bed? You know, depression is so sad that you don't want to get out of bed. You don't want to take a shower. You don't want to shave. You don't want to brush your teeth. You don't want to do anything. And as a man, the moment you go through all that, then that means the family is going to be hungry. So you get where a man is coming from before they can think of depression. A kid can stay in bed and then we take them to a therapist and they're fine. A mom can stay in bed, we take them to a therapist and they speak about their feelings, they cry and whatnot, then they are fine. For us gents, it's tougher.
Yeah, no, definitely. I agree with you. And on the video, Rudi, I actually saw it the week it was released because it was by Norwich, and I followed them on Twitter. That video is very very touching, very shocking, but it's true. You know, I agree with you. It's definitely true, and it highlights very big facts, especially on what I said. And like Tess, like you said, as men, and like now that I've gone into the working world the last couple of years, I fully understand like the problems that we have in terms of you need to do everything. There's no break.
Yeah.
And it's difficult. And that's why I'm saying like we have to be able to tell ourselves we need to do it. It's something, as part of those things that have to happen. We have to make it a priority.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. We have to. I think the mere fact that they are saying, like Rudi's stats, he said 1 in 32, or he said 1 in 8. Before it was 1 in 6 men are committing suicide. That's crazy. Even if it was 1:2 or 1:3, it's still insane. I think losing a life, one life on its own, is way too much. So in as much as these stats keep on rocking up, are we doing enough to make sure that if last year was 1:6, surely it's supposed to be 1:5 now, and we've saved one life, not more. You get it? So that means, are we fighting a losing battle with this, though?
Yeah, I mean, from my side, I think COVID definitely, I think, for a lot of people, and this is not even just men, a lot of people, that year or so, year and a half, 2 years, really did impact people's mental health. And I think we're seeing the repercussions of it because people push it away, and the more that life continues to be normal, the more that we have to face those things because it affects us every day. So, you know, and like you're saying, if we can help one person, we're helping a massive amount. And it's important that, like, if we help one, that person needs to help another. And if we do that in a chain reaction, it will eventually make a difference. And I know it can feel small, but it's not.
Yeah.
One life is massive. It's as big as it can get.
Yeah, true. Ruth, you asked Tristan about, has he ever been in that similar situation, or has ever had someone that is so close to him that has gone through this sort of depression or mental health, any sort of mental health? It doesn't have to be depression. Have you ever had someone that has gone through that and been diagnosed? Because Tristan also said earlier that everyone has gone through that. Some maybe they're not diagnosed, but then you know that I think at some point in my life, probably last year or the year before, I think that was depression. Yes, I never went to the hospital. I never went to the doctor and got their diagnosis and the prescription, whatever. But you know that you went through it. My question to you is going to come back, the same question that you sent to Tristan. Have you ever had someone close to you that has gone through that? And what are some of the steps maybe that you think you did with them to help them, or to make them, or to come into a better space?
So before I answer the question, I'd just like to, you know me in stats, and obviously reading up and trying to do research on it. And I was reading here, so obviously Tristan touched on COVID and whatnot. So I looked at stats of obviously from 2020 and 2021, and obviously the effect from COVID, post-COVID, is depression, or the major prevalent mental conditions that affected us was depression, amongst dealing with socialization and lack thereof, anxiety for now being reintroduced to friends' socialization, PTSD, fears of failure, fears of losing someone, and fears of something fears of losing money or losing a job, and the addiction to find a new substance and substance abuse since COVID. So the scary thing is that, like, obviously when you look at that statistic, is that it's only gotten worse since COVID, and it was already such a big thing.
Yeah.
And then the other side of it is that, you know, it's in Men's Mental Health Month. You know, it's also important to look back and go and look at, you know, just the three of us that are talking right now, how blessed we are to have literally just the three people on this call right now. You know, we're blessed to be able to have people around us that want to talk about it and to be open about your feelings. I mean, like you said, it doesn't have to be something diagnosable, but I mean, I know that I can pick up the phone and phone Tats, I can phone Tristan, and I can there's a few people I can phone, you know, and just to give me a bit of help, to give me a bit of guidance, or just to let know I'm down. And I know there's someone that even if I don't talk, you guys are going to pick up because you guys know me as a person. So we are very blessed in that, and I think we need to, celebrate that as well. Celebrate the small victories that we have. That if you are blessed, comment on the video and tell us that you feel blessed because you have this person. Call out your mate. Let us know. Big ups to whoever your friend is, whoever that person that is around you, your brother, your uncle, your auntie, whoever it is. Big ups to them for being that person that when you felt you were going through a not so great time, they were there for you. They were just the person to listen to. They were the person to have a beer with you. They were the person, just to take your mind off things, because it's so sad that you find people that are in a depression, feeling that they have a persistent low mood that literally it affects your everyday functioning. You have anxiety, where you have such an uncomfortable feeling and a fear of worry to do anything, or post-traumatic stress where you've gone through a situation. So we're very blessed in that fact. And for me, I've had quite a few people. It's not just one person. I've got people in my family that have that suffer from depression, and not just men, but the women too, who going through different things in their life, and some things much later in life where you've got marriages that have been going on forever that are now ending when there's a child involved, and the child's nearly getting ready to get out of high school and into tertiary education. So I don't think I was in the right mental space and time. I'd say over the last few years to try and be the person that people needed me to be at the time, or maybe I wasn't aware or making myself aware for those people. But hindsight's a really sad thing, because you can look back and go, oh, I wish I could have helped that person. Maybe I could have said a few things. But yeah, I've actually had someone in the past month or so within my family that I felt I needed to reach out to. He was going through some seriously tough stuff. He's going through a separation, and I needed to speak to him. I needed to just let him know I'm around, and we might not speak as much as we would like to, and maybe as much as we should, but I just wanted to give him a call to tell him that someone loves him, and I'm here, and to tell him that not everything's your fault. You're still a great father. You're still you're a great boss, and you're a great mentor, and you're a role model to me as a person because of the success that he's had, not only in his business, but within the family itself. He's become a role model, one of the father figures within the family. So I can say that that's the most recent, and I was actually able to, and again blessed because of the podcast and being made aware of these things and going to research and whatnot. So I was able, I feel, to try and share some light and some insight and an ear for him to be there for him. So
yeah, amazing. Coming back to Tristan, in this world where we got so much pressures, I think coming from lockdown where it was easy to speak to someone today and then the next thing, boom, they passed on, or you were speaking to someone on WhatsApp, then the following week, geez, that person died. And all those traumas, somewhere, somehow, it affected every person. I know for a fact that everyone was affected. We may not have been affected the same way, but everyone was affected. In that regard, coming from lockdown to where you are now, what are some of the things that you've started to do differently post-lockdown and pre-lockdown? What are some of the routines that you have taken as a man or as a gent for yourself, or for your own mental well-being?
So actually, before lockdown, so just preface to that is when the biggest thing has actually been doing a lot more physical activity. So, and I can attribute a portion of that to Rudi as well, is that before lockdown, I had given up all of my sports. In high school, I played provincial hockey, and I played a lot of football, and I played cricket, and I was busy every single day.
Yeah.
And then I went into varsity, and it stopped. And then after COVID came out, I rejoined. I still play when I can. 11-a-side football. I'm playing cricket, and just that for like myself and my mental health is so important. I mean, Rudi and I play paddle now, and just doing that physical activity really helps me with my mental health and my mental state. And when I don't do it, I can feel myself kind of being a lot more repetitive. And with me, when I get repetition in terms of what I do every day, I get lulled into boredom, and then it's the cycle of now I get like sad, or I don't even notice, but like other people will tell me, it's like now they can see my energy's different and everything like that. And golf is another one. So for me personally, like that, and then with regards to like my mates and stuff, just a lot more check-ins. So just saying like, how you doing or whatever, meeting up, going for a beer, or going when you play golf, playing a golf round, things like that for me have been really big after that. And I mean, like since then, I've been a lot better, most certainly for myself at least.
Yeah. Ruds, how have you managed relationships ever since lockdown? Because I think that's some of the things that we are fighting right now. All these post-lockdown messes and all that. Sometimes we don't realize where all these mental health breakdowns are coming from. But then I know for a fact that lockdown has got its effect, or we are still suffering the effects of lockdown, be it from an income point of view, from a routine point of view. What have you done differently since lockdown to where we are now? That's totally different from what you did in 2019, 2018.
To be honest with you, I actually went through, during lockdown, I went through a bit of a breakdown because I thrive with socialization. I need socialization. As Tristan said, I mean, that's how him and I got to becoming friends, was, on the sports field, because for me, that's where the greatest friendships are forged. And, when that was taken away, a part of me felt like it was ripped away for an entire year. Yes, I was blessed enough to be with my wife at home, who was pregnant at the time. So not a lot of men can say that they were with their wife every single day throughout the pregnancy. So I was blessed in that fact. But I mean, I did. It really did affect me. But one thing lockdown did to me is, it can be a sad thing, but for me it actually made things a lot better, is that it showed me whom the friends I needed to keep around, because the friends that I checked in on and that checked in on me were the ones that I'm still currently talking to. The people I know are there for me, and it sort of filtered out the fake friendships. And it's sad because you'll miss some of the memories, but those memories will stay with you forever. Those are good memories. It doesn't mean they're bad people, but maybe they were just a small part of the book of Rudi. The main characters that are big parts of my book will stay in chapter 1, 2, 3, and 4, and carry on right until the end of the book. So yeah, I think that was a big part of it. And I'd say post-COVID, a lot of the decisions that I've made have been always going, how is it going to affect not only me, but how is it going to affect my family? And possibly that's a maturity thing, and obviously becoming a father post-COVID. Your efforts and everything that you do is now based around your tight circle and who you feel as a man you need to protect, you need to be there for. So those things are there, obviously. And then you also asked me earlier about, things that we could do for a person that's close to us. I was just looking at another few steps that we can do. And the one thing it says is, do not offer advice that should not be given, or you doing it from a different point of view, as you're not a professional. Always offer emotional support and reassurance, and inform the person that you are there for them.
Yeah.
Tell them that seeking out professional help is probably the best way forward. Do not push them. Be patient with them, and first look after yourself. You cannot look after anyone else unless you are looking after yourself. And I think that's the most important thing. Is that, as much as we want to help other people, we cannot help anyone unless we are making sure that we look after ourselves as men. That we are saying, if I need help, I seek it. If I need someone to talk to, I speak to someone. If I need to cry, I cry my eyes out. And it's not showing us. We spoke about it before, Tats. It's not showing weakness. It's showing emotion. It's showing you a different part of men that most people and eras of men before us were never able to show. I'd actually love to look back and be a fly on the wall 100 years ago of where a man was probably sitting in his room crying by himself. because he wasn't able to do it in front of his family, in front of his children, in front of his wife, because he was weak.
Yeah.
He wasn't able to go and cry to his father to say, I need help. I don't know how to do this. It was do it yourself, be a man about it. So, I'm very grateful that we live in the era that we are, and that we are trying to make more people aware of where we're going.
Yeah.
And that we want to help each other. So just on that, again, we again, another thing to show how blessed we are is to show that there's people out there, there's podcasts like this that are just there to offer help, to offer guidance, to be there for, the fellow man, to say you're not alone.
Yeah. I love what you said there, Rudi, that in as much as we want to help, but then if the person does not want us for the help, then there's nothing really that you can do. There's an old saying that says you can take a donkey to the river, but you can never force it to drink water. And there's so much importance in that as well, that you can pinpoint that someone is going through something, but until they come to you and say, this is what I'm going through, I don't know what to do, I think your advice should be seek medical help or seek professional help. I think that on its own is already helping. A lot of times we then want to give them practical solutions on how to deal with what they're dealing with. In 2018, I know Tristan probably doesn't know this, but if he's been going through the podcast, he'll know this. 2018, I lost my son, my second born. And up to now, I always say that I appreciated the gent that would come sit next to me and just say, when you want water, you let me know. When you want a beer from the fridge, you let me know. If you want to change the channel, here's the remote. If you want a charger, I'll go get your cable, that kind of thing. Instead of a guy that's going to come to me and say, bro, I can imagine what you're going through, or I'm sorry about what happened, but these things happen, all this. And people have got a tendency of trying to say words because they feel like that's the best way to be there for the person. And sometimes just keeping quiet is actually strong enough on its own. So I understand that when you say, when someone hasn't come to you to ask for help, don't help them. Can we safely say that?
I don't know if we can. So I'm just going to jump in there. I don't know if we can just jump in and try and help. But at the same time, that saying of, you can take a horse to water, but you can't make it drink. I think that is it is a sad reality. But I think at the same time, you can still keep on trying. And I think that sometimes it takes a person, and that's where the patience comes in. You can take it to the water. Maybe it just needs a different watering hole. Maybe it just wants a place to drink where it's standing in the shade. Maybe it just wants to have a drink when it's not as in the heat of the day. Maybe it wants to do it with someone else. I think persistence is important in that as well, and remaining supportive for your friend or for the person that you're trying to help. But again, it keeps going back to that same point of just being patient. So I don't think it's that we can't help them and we should sort of move on. I think that should just be the challenge for a person that is wanting to help that person, is to say, keep going, keep trying, remain patient, keep offering that emotional support, keep offering reassurance. And like I said, let's change that saying of you could take a horse to water, can't make a drink. In this sense, let's just try to find another watering hole. Let's try at a different time of day. Take them in the shade. Take them, whatever it is you need to do, just keep trying. Because if you as one person, and we spoke about this, Tats, I remember this, and it was so scary to think about it. That if in my lifetime I can stop one person from taking their life, the effect that can have on the world, because that man could be a father of two beautiful daughters. Those daughters could be mothers of four, 5 children. And that family tree continues because you were able to make sure grandpa was still there. Make sure that maybe he had another late child, that the family can continue to grow, that family can thrive, and know that there was, yes, when grandpa, there's a story about grandpa when, he was going through this, he had this person, he had Uncle Rudi or Uncle Tats or Uncle Tristan to help him get through. And because of that, Uncle Tristan's child was also able to help me, and we've become friends. And, at the end of the day, it has a positive snowball effect by helping one person. It's contagious. 100%. Everyone loves to help someone. Everyone loves that feeling of of success and showing that they've helped, or you don't even need the acknowledgement from that person, because you can have self-affirmation that you've done a good job, you've done a good deed.
Sure, that's crazy. Tristan, do you have anything to add on that point, please? Right?
Yeah, I was actually going to jump in there and actually take it slightly further back as well. Like Tat said, sometimes, and even in his case, it's like the quiet guy who was just there was exactly what you want and need. And, oftentimes, and this is the other thing, is you don't also want to get men in particular to overdiagnose themselves, because depression is a very real thing, but very often we can be sad but not depressed,
Yeah.
You can feel depressed but not have depression.
Yeah.
So it's also very important that we realize that with certain guys, we want to help them, and Ruth's correct. Like, if we can help someone who really is depressed and has depression and needs it, is the best thing we can do is to help them, do it for themselves, because that's all you can do. It's an internal battle, and that's all it is. And if you can just be there for someone, sometimes, often just talking can make someone feel as if the whole weight is gone. Just talking. You didn't even need to say anything. It could have just stood there talking and you listened. That's all they needed. So it's very important that we have that ear open. And when we see, and like we were saying, the patience to tell them, like, keep working at it, whatever it is. And then if we see, look, no, this guy's been trying and it's not there, then it's important for us to tell them you need to seek help, because I know, like with myself, you get into a depressed state because of situation, whatever, or because of something. And in that moment, I just need someone to hear me, and then I'm good.
Yeah.
But with some people, it's different. So it's important that we can recognize it,
Yeah. Amazing, gents. In wrapping, Rudi, what advice would you be giving to another gent? I said earlier when we started that someone posted on Facebook and they said, is there any group of men where men can just vent and just speak about their stuff? Or is there a WhatsApp group or whatever? And I said my DMs are always open. I think that's the one thing that we've been an advocate for the longest of time, that reach out. You don't have to know my face. You don't have to know me personally, but you can still come through to me and say, Tats, this is what I'm going through. Rudi, this is what I'm going through. Tris, this is what I'm going through. In rapping, as you're speaking to another mate, what would you be saying right now, Ruth? Then I'm going to come to Tristan.
What I would say to a mate would obviously be, I think, would also be different to saying to someone else, if it's depending on the person, is you got to make it personal. I think any relationship is forged on the memories created before, and how you deal with every person might be very different. The way that I would obviously talk to Tristan will be different to the way I talk to you, because the relationship is different. You're both friends. You're both very good friends of mine and brothers. But the same way, our friendship was created differently. It was created at different times. There's different memories. There's different history. Yeah. So I think it's staying true to I call it the core of the friendship or the relationship that you have with that person, is use that core, use the development of that friendship or that relationship to build on, to offer and urge that person to get help or seek treatment. Be willing to listen, find a icebreaker that is relevant to the friendship that you had, to make it easier for that person to sort of de-stress or, open up to you. Urge them if they're a person of faith, tell them that whatever faith they're in, that they're not alone in their seeking. And, I honestly believe deep down in my heart that no person that is going through any sort of trauma, depression, mental disorder, mental condition, that they don't want help. Everyone says, this person might not want help and whatever it is. I just think it's that they have a very, very big underlying fear of finding a way to actually know how to find treatment, to find help. They feel that they're not worth that help. So I think if you're a person that is close to me, I'm going to show them their value. And my method would be to show the value that they have and use the relationship that they have with me to show the value that I have for them as a person, to help push them in the direction to show that they're not a waste of time. They're not a waste of air. They're not a waste of someone's love. they are all worth it, and start at that sort of stepping stone and just carry on and build from there, and hopefully find a mutually happy ground where they can either find help or be pushed in the direction where they are getting help.
Sure. That's a mouthful, man. Thank you so much. Tristan, what would you be saying in wrapping to our topic tonight, mate?
Yeah, so maybe that's why Rudi and I are friends.
Clearly, because Rudi has just taken it over, bro. Like, where do we come after this? But the standard is too high now.
Right, and I mean, like, I have a similar ideology, I think, and, it's my ideology in everything in life. Every person is their own person, and everything is connected, everything is holistic. There's no such thing as a isolated thing. Everything makes us who we are, and, if I have a friend, I've got to understand that person. I mean, I have friends who are miles apart and different, and the way I speak to Rudi will be very different to how I speak to someone else. And, and again, like we're saying, this transcends is not just men, it's for women too, it's for children, it's for anything. You need to be able to make them feel the value that you see. Very often, if they could see themselves how you see them, they would think of themselves very differently. And the relationship that you've built is a testament to that, And if we can get through to someone, your friends the best, and talk to them, use the same way that you guys laugh, is the same way that you can connect together when it comes to emotional topics. Because, guys, like, as we all know, happiness is an emotion just as sadness is. And that connection is something that is almost spiritual, if not completely spiritual. And yeah, it's important that we speak to people and make them feel part of a community. And guys, a community can be as small as 2 people. And humans are social beings, and the moment we can help others feel part of a community, it really does help them a lot. And I can say that from personal experience. When you feel part of something, you know that you are very important and you are integral and you are needed and wanted. And I can say that to everyone here, everyone that is listening, you guys, everyone, you are wanted and needed by everyone around you, and people love having you around. Those that don't, that's their problem. You are a delight and you are worth it. So from my side, that's basically how I do things. Try and make everyone feel the worth that you see in them. So yeah.
Wow. Communities as small as 2 people, these gestures, I've had so many, I'm so blown away at the kind of wisdom that we share as gents. And you understand that if we don't give ourselves a chance to sit down and really speak about these issues, because a lot of times as gents, we want to speak about women, we want to speak about cars, we want to speak about sport, but we've never actually given ourselves a chance to just sit down and just be open and upfront with us. And that's exactly what happened tonight. And my words to you will be, like Tristan just said now, that community can be as close as 2 people. Just 2 people. A lot of times we think that, no, I need 50,000 people around me to say that I've created a community. If 2 people or 2 gents just start and say, we're going to make sure that we are strong, we're going to bring another one, we're going to bring another one. Before you know it, after a year, 2 years, we're going to have a big community. And it starts with 2 people. It starts with you and I. So if you are still here, please consider liking, sharing, and subscribing. And when you're sharing this, that means the person that you are sharing with, that's going to be your community. And if small groups of community of men can just meet, we've been speaking for 45 minutes, and you can hear the amount of wisdom that we have shared, the stats that we have shared, the wisdom that we have shared, the nuggets that we have shared in here. Someone else is going to be helped in this. And I like how what Rudi said as well, that sometimes my philosophy or my ideology was you do not force help on someone if they don't want to be helped. And I've always been that kind of person that when I see someone going through something and they don't want to ask for help, I'll just leave them. That's a wrong perception, or that's a wrong ideology. And tonight I just learned from that maybe someone wants to be pushed a little bit more. Maybe someone just wants you to take them to a different well, take them to a different stream of water, and that donkey or that horse is going to drink water eventually. And that just comes back to not giving up on one another. And imagine, like what Rudi said as well, that imagine years later or decades later, someone says the reason why we then had this family or this lineage was because somewhere 100 years ago or whatever, there was someone called Uncle Tats, there was someone called Uncle Rudi or Uncle Tristan that did not give up on your great-great-great-great-grandfather. That's why we've got this lineage. That to me was like, wow, that's blown away. Because a lot of things, we look at them at surface level, but it cuts deeper. So as you are here, it cuts deeper than just you being depressed or just looking at your friend being depressed. But it's also the people that are going to come from that person, the people that is going to get birth to, the people that is going to impact in his life. That's what we are trying to do here. So thank you so much if you are still here. And thank you so much for Tristan, that was our guest tonight. We are so appreciative. I'm so appreciative of what we are doing. It's men's mental health. So sharing this ensures that what we discussed over the last 40 odd minutes goes to the next person and the next person and the next person. And thereby we're growing. Thank you so much, gents, for chilling with me. I know now it's way past Rudy's bedtime and he needs to go to bed. Tristan, thank you so much, mate. And I'm hoping that I'm going to play some paddle with you, bro. And yeah, Rudy has been promising me to play paddle, but it never happens. He's promised me the driving range. It has never happened. He's promised me that he's going to put me in his LMS team. It never happened. He's promised me this. It never happened. So, bro, anyway, Tristan, thank you so much, mate. Really appreciate your time.
No, thank you so much for having me, guys. Like I said, I listen in every week, and it's been a pleasure to be on a call with you guys. Hopefully, if you guys will have me back, I'll be back at some point in the studio.
We need you in the studio, bro.
It's been good to listen. I'm down, and you know, the LMS and paddle and stuff, I can push that. I'll have a chat with my fellow white man.
I trust you. I trust you more than I trust him, so yeah.
Oh Lord, and we're back to it. We have such a good discussion and it goes back to the abuse.
I'm abusing you even from your own house. How powerful am I, Ruth?
Oh my word. Comes up, please speak to Tats. Just give him a slap on the back of the head.